Good Sunday evening, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of the BATTLIN BUCS. So I'm Mason Sapesky, your host. This is now part of the Mason Sports Network. If you guys didn't already know, we've gone for a name change, and now we are officially Mason Sports Network, MSN, our abbreviations. I also have a big announcement. We are now on Instagram, so my name on Instagram is Mason Sapesky Reports. So if you want to, please follow over there. I would greatly appreciate it as I'm trying to build those two and get those two connected. I also you guys can't see it unless I put it in my Instagram. I could try, but I'm really kind of inactive on it, but it's called 412 Sports News. I'm going to change that name actually later this evening to Mason Sports Report. So that's what we're becoming here, and I think this is a good thing. I'm trying to get more recognition, and hopefully soon I can start doing big things and we can build this network and this channel. So if you guys, like I've been saying, continue to reach out to your family, friends, your significant others, your coworkers, your loved ones, just anybody you know, and just help say something positive about the channel and just help continue to build this channel would mean a lot. And who knows, the chain of command works. One person telling one person leads to 2 people, leads to 4 people, leads to 8 people, leads to 100 people eventually. So, yeah, just continue to do what you're doing. I greatly appreciate you guys. You're the best. So, anyway, without further ado, let's recap the Pirates this week, who have not, unfortunately, been the best. They went 2-4 this week, losing both their series to the Angels and the Cubs. Let's talk about the Angels, starting with Monday. The team beat them 4-1. I was at this game. If you haven't already watched that video, please go back and watch it. The team won because Edward Olivares hit a grand slam. That was the first grand slam I've ever seen in my life. It was amazing to see, so thanks, Mr. Olivares. And it propelled the Pirates to a 4-1 win, combined with a solid Mitch Keller outing. So that was good to see for sure. And it looked like the team was headed in the right direction after 3 straight wins. However, on Friday, the roof came crashing down, and the Pirates were defeated by the Angels 9-0, a team that had priorly scored 3 runs in the last 31 innings, according to a stat I saw on Twitter somewhere. We allowed 9 runs to them in one game, so that was super crazy. So that was interesting for sure. You can't do that. Who was on the mound that day? I forget. But hang on. I'm checking who was on the mound because that's surprising because pitching has not been our weakness this year. It's been hitting, but both were the Quinn Priester. Yeah, I think he needs to. That was the last pick, I think, of the Neil Huntington era. I think it's time to move on. He has not been what we hoped he would be. He's not been a prospect that has hit for us, and it might be time to bite the bullet on Quinn Priester and just ship him off in a trade somewhere at the deadline. Teams are going to want a good prospect. Maybe we could lessen the price at the deadline and include him in the deal with somebody else. So, yeah, he's one of the weaknesses on this team, as there are many. So, definitely need to talk about that because this season is going south real fast, and today proved it. We'll get to that later. Another example of how the season's going fast, though, south fast before we get into today. Wednesday, May 8th, the team lost 5-4 to the Los Angeles Angels. This of Anaheim, losing the series to them officially 5-4. This was a pathetic loss and was very disappointing to see. It was super duper disappointing to see, to say the least. I was very upset with this defeat, and we got to be better. We've just got to be better in the future if we want to win games. So, we had a 4-2 lead. We blew that lead, and it's disappointing, all the leads we've blown, and yeah, it's upsetting to say the least. But we lost the series to the Angels. The coming series against the Cubs this past weekend would have dictated to us how the homestand went, as we won a series 2-1 against Colorado, and we officially lost 2-1 to the Angels. So we're even at 3 games apiece now. All right, so now we get into the weekend now. We got a stacked weekend ahead of us. Jared Jones and it starts out Friday with Jared Jones on the mound. We lose 7-2. The hitting looks strong to open up the game. Bellinger may have hit that home run off of Jones to take a 1-0 lead early. However, the way Nick Gonzalez and the Pirates responded was beyond amazing, taking a 2-1 lead. But later in the game, the Cubs took the lead and they would never look back. In fact, they blew us out 7-2. This was upsetting and this was unfortunate. It proves that we got a lot of waking up to do. And that starts with manager Derek Shelton, who something needs to happen with. And I'm not saying that like something bad. Derek Shelton has ruined the Pirates. Clint Hurdle, in like his third or fourth year, made the playoffs. We are on the 5th year of Derek Shelton. He has not yet had a winning season, and he's not going to have one this year. He is by far the worst manager in baseball, and something needs to give. Hopefully, Skip Schumacher, the Marlins manager, becomes available this winter, and we can grab him. Or Oakland A's manager Mark Kotze, if the team moves on from him. There are so many better fits and so many better managers than Derek Shelton out there. You cannot blame Ben Cherington that much for this. Yes, he did acquire the talent. And yes, some of his deadline deals have been shitty. I have said that. They have not gotten enough prospects in certain situations. He has not been that aggressive, and I think that has killed us. I'll say that. Let's look at the Nationals. Because they are 19-20 right now. They're looking pretty good for their future. They started a rebuild in 2021. And right now, they're literally 19-20 in the playoff chase. Half game back. And their future looks bright. We were one of the few who said that. Nobody listened in the media. They thought this team would be last place and would be a joke. We told you otherwise. And so far, we're looking good. The A's. This was at the 2021 deadline. The A's, they traded Yan Gomes and Josh Harrison to the A's in exchange for Drew Milas, Seb Suman, and Richard Goss. Never heard of those names before this, so I'll call that trade a failure. The Cardinals, they traded John Lester to the Cardinals. They got Lane Thomas. So far, I think the Nationals won that trade. That's a big deal. And then there's the big one, the Turner trade. And then Kyle Schwarber was traded too. So the Turner trade. This netted them like literally their entire future. Josiah Gray, Gerardo Carrillo, Keibert Ruiz, and Donovan Casey in exchange for Scherzer and Turner. The Dodgers didn't win the series that year with either of those guys that went to the Atlanta Braves. But the Nationals got some promising players in Gray, Ruiz, and Casey that are a big part of their future. That's important. That's super important. They got some good, strong prospects. So that's huge to hit on these deals. Because Ruiz is a good long-term catcher. Gray's a good long-term pitcher. All right. And then they traded away Schwarber and Daniel Hudson for others. And then in 2022, the Motherlode came. As Juan Soto was traded to the Padres. This trade turned out to be a massive, massive bust for the Padres. Soto and Bell were dealt to San Diego. They didn't win a World Series with those guys. The closest they came was the NLCS, losing to Philadelphia. Soto just got traded to the Yankees this past offseason. And Bell is in Miami. That's who the Padres received. Let's look at who the Nationals received. Luke Voigt, C.J. Abrams, who's doing good. Mackenzie Gore, who's doing good. Robert Hassel, who's coming up the minors, doing good. James Wood, who's doing really good. And Jarlin Susana. This trade was a home run for them. And they have several star prospects in the system. And more to come. Dylan Cruz, the kid from LSU, he's on a roll. James Wood, he'll be up soon. Cruz will be up this year. Brady House, third baseman, will be up next year. Cade Cavalli, he's in the bigs. Elijah Green, a draft pick, he'll be up in 2026. That's still a ways away, and he must not be doing as good as people thought. Robert Hassel, he'll be up next year. Looking good, though. Bottom line, they have the majority of their prospects still in the system, and they're 19 and 20. Mike Rizzo handled that good, and he proved you could get a haul for players. Pirates 20. Let's look at the Pirates trades under Ben Cherington. And again, I think Cherington should stay. However, this one complaint I do have about him is his lack of aggressiveness. Mike Rizzo was aggressive, and the team is back in contention. Although it still has some work to do, like they need to get rid of Corbin, they need to get rid of Kyle Finnegan, Patrick Corbin, Trevor Williams. Hopefully he comes back here. They still have like young talent coming up. They signed Nick Senzel and co too, and Jesse Winker. They handle things smart. All right, let's start. The first notable offseason of Cherington. This is on Pittsburgh Baseball Now. It's an article. We traded Starling Marte to the Diamondbacks in exchange for Oliver Peguero and Brennan Malone. We have not seen either of these guys. We've seen Peguero once, but that's it. But he has not gone past single A. That's a problem. It's not done a whole lot. But in the future, that wasn't bad. That was not a bad move. Because they have promise and they could still come up. Christmas Eve 2020. Josh Bell was traded to the Nationals for Will Crowe and Eddie Gein. Will Crowe did literally nothing with the team, and he was DFA'd. That's a bad trade because we got nothing. This was the one trade that did good. Hey. Sorry, my dad was just coming up, turned off the light by accident, despite him hearing me talk. But anyway, Joe Musgrove being dealt to the Padres. This was the deal that brought David Bednar here. And it also brought Andy Rodriguez here. That was a good trade. That was a very good trade. And probably the best trade he's made. The final big exchange of that offseason, Jameson Taillon went to the Yankees in exchange for Ron C. Contreras, Cannon Smith-Njigba, Michael Yarger, and Michael Escoto. That was an awful trade. It was. Not very good. (2021-2022). Now, that year, 2021, we traded Frazier to the Padres, and we got out of that Tupaquita Marcano, Jack Sawinski, and somebody else. That was a so-so trade. Marcano showed signs of flashes here, and Sawinski's been pretty good, so that was a decent trade. This trade has not been very good. Jacob Stallings to the Marlins. It hasn't been good for either team. Stallings to the Marlins for Zach Thompson, Kyle Nicholas, and Connor Scott. That was not very good. And then last winter, they focused on additions. We got Connor Joe, which was good. But then last year at the deadline, we were once again sellers, selling Rodolfo Castro to the Phillies for Bailey Falter. I think that's been a good trade for us, actually. And we traded Ji-Man Choi and Rich Hill to the Padres and got a prospect package headlined by Jackson Wolf, who actually went back to the Padres. So that was not a good trade for either team. Moral of the story is this. If Cherington would have been more aggressive, we would have been better by now. And that's what needs to happen in the future. I hope. That's the one thing I have against him. But Selton's the one that's destroying the team, I feel like. Anyway, this was a perfect example of why. Yesterday, Paul Skeens making his Major League debut. Everybody's excited. Pirates take a 4-0 lead. Then the Cubs get a run. We get out, it's 4-1. Then we score 2 more runs. It's a 6-run lead, and we pull Paul Skeens. Guess what happens the minute we pull Paul? We see the game get tied 6-6 because the Cubs scored 5 runs primarily on walks. Now, that's ridiculous. I know his pitch count was getting high, and I know it was his debut, but this kid pitched well in college. This kid pitched high pitch counts in the minors, and you're going to pull him now? Why couldn't you wait 2 more innings? Now the game's tied. For a brief period of time, though, the Cubs took a lead. It was like 8-6. Then we came back. We scored 4 straight runs to take a 10-8 lead. Connor Joe McCutcheon. Thank goodness for Connor Joe. He's the one good thing about the team right now. Then the Cubs got one, and it was 10-9, and that's how the game ended. So it had never been this way. We should have blown out the Cubs, and it should have been a fun day with no distractions except for the rain. However, Derek Shelton decided to make it interesting. That's the problem. Managerial mistakes have cost us like 5 games as of late. And you guys saw, and I posted this on my Twitter account if any of you guys follow me on Twitter. Frank Vogel, the head coach of the Phoenix Suns in the NBA, had a 49-33 record. Took his team to the playoffs and lost in the playoffs. On Friday, he got fired. Some college football, looking at Mississippi State, Zach Arnett, took over as the interim head coach there after their head coach, Mike Leach, God rest his soul, passed away. Literally went 4-6 in one season and got fired. And who did the school hire? A mediocre offensive coordinator accused of sexual misconduct in the past or something like that. If you can't even get one full call, and you look at basketball too, I know he sucked, but Josh Elliott, the head coach of WVU, I'm not crazy about WVU, but I did like Josh Elliott. I thought he was a good guy and a good coach. He went 9-20 for year 1. The reason these people were in charge were because of unfortunate circumstances. Now, granted, Bob Huggins did that to himself, and what he did during that Taylor Swift concert was inappropriate, disgusting, and wrong. Who would drive drunk downtown in the middle of a concert after making inappropriate slurs? I can't stand when people do accents like that. Yes, we all make mistakes, myself included. I am not mistake-free. None of us are. However, what Bob Huggins did last offseason was wrong. Anyway, though, back to the context. If those 2 head coaches that were put in tough circumstances can't even get full seasons because the team's not doing well, and a head coach whose team is doing well but just couldn't win in the playoffs because they faced a better team, or getting fired after 1 year, why in the freak is Derek Shelton still behind the bench after 5 losing seasons? And not only is he still behind the bench, he is getting extended. That is mismanagement at the highest level, if you ask me. It's disgusting, it's disturbing, and it proves how chaotic ownership is here. They don't care about winning. They care about doing it their way, which has not won them anything. Come on now. And their way almost ruined Paul Skeens' debut. And it ruined today's game. But before I get into that, I just want to talk a bit about Skeens. He was good. He was very good, but he still needs some work. But that's any pitcher like Paul Skeens that just came up from the Pirates. That's any pitcher that just came up. No, Rome wasn't built in a day. Nobody impresses in their debut. Give him time, but what we saw yesterday was very encouraging. I will say that. All right, on to today's game. First off, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, especially mine. My grandma's too. So it was Mother's Day. It was an amazing day for baseball at the ballpark. Pirates had the chance to win. 2-2, bases loaded, 3-1 count to O'Neal Cruz, blah, blah, blah. And he pops up. And the inning ends. And then the Cubs come to bat, and the Cubs take a 5-2 lead in the 10th inning. Then Connor Joe, the one good thing about the Pirates right now, makes it interesting. 5-4. We lose the game 5-4. If Cruz would have just taken that pitch or fouled it off, we would have probably won this game. However, he did. And I didn't see the play. I heard you guys complain about Yasmani Grandal. Just 1 short week ago, or 2 short weeks ago, you guys were all craving for Yasmani Grandal to come on up to the big leagues. We brought him up, and now you're flipping out. This proves that coaching is the #1 issue here. Why is the minor league team being better coached right now than the major league team? And why, when Brian Hayes goes to seek help from a minor league coach because of how bad the hitting is on the major league team, you fire the minor league coach? It's a disgrace, and Derek Shelton needs to be shown the door immediately. Worst manager in baseball. Didn't like the hire when it happened, and I like it even worse now. Got to be better. We've got to be better. Anyway, Pirates go 2-4 this homestand. 2-4 these past couple series. And now we're going to move on to our next part, and that's going for the standings of the entire league. And then we'll get into our last part for today's show, which is previewing next week, which is a Midwest road trip for the team, or the coming week. All right, let's look at the AL East right now. Leading that division are the Baltimore Orioles, 26-13. Half game back of them are the 27-15 Yankees. Red Sox 5.5 back at 21-19. Rays 7 back, 20-21. Last place, Toronto Blue Jays 18-22, 8.5 back. Remember, we called that when we did not think the Blue Jays would be good this year. And guess what? They aren't. As of now. I get it, it's early, but some of my quote-unquote controversial predictions are paying off. What do you think about that? AL Central now. Cleveland Guardians leading that division 25-16. Minnesota Twins 24-16 in second place. Half game back. Royals 25-17. Half game back. They made the good moves this offseason. They weren't very good last year, but they made the good moves. Take note, Ben Cherington. And they're half game back in the division. So, yeah, you better take note, Ben Cherington. You better take note, Bob Nutting. Detroit Tigers 20-20. 4.5 games back. Chicago White Sox, they've been hot as of late. I think they're better than the Pirates as of late. They're 12-29, 14 games back. Alrighty, Seattle Mariners in the AL West, they lead that division 22-19. Texas Rangers, you're 22-20. Oakland A's, you're 19-23. Houston Astros, 15-25. Los Angeles Angels, 15-26. Alrighty, let's look at this here. NL time. Philadelphia, Philly. Oh, Angels are 7 back. A's are 3.5 back. And Astros are 6.5 back of that division. I'm sorry. NL East time. Philadelphia, Phillies. They're leading that division 28-13. Braves are in second, 24-12, a game and a half back. Nationals are in third, 19-20, 8 games back. Nationals are 19-20, 8 games back. Mets are 8.5 back with an 18-20 record. And Marlins, worst team in the league right now, 11-31, 17.5 back. Phillies are on fire. So are the Braves. I can't wait. I hope those two play again in October. That's the best October baseball, Phillies and Braves. Can't wait for that. All right, let's look right now at the NL Central. Brewers, 24-16, lead the division. Cubs, 24-17, half game back. Pirates, 18-23, 6.5 back. Reds, 17-23, 7 back. Cardinals 16-24, 8 back. I think the end's coming for Ollie Marmol in St. Louis. They're going to start a rebuild here pretty soon. Not good. Not good in the City of Arches. How about the Brewers? Even though Craig Counsell left, they're still impressive. That's just a good organization now. They're the class of the Central. And I hate it. NL West. Los Angeles Dodgers 27-15 leading the division. San Diego Padres 5.5 back, 20-21. Arizona Diamondbacks 19-22, 7.5 back. Giants 19-23, 8 back. Rockies 12-28, 14 back. All right, let's look at the wild card standings. Your current postseason matchups in the American League would be Baltimore and Cleveland, the 1 and 2 seeds, respectively, getting byes. And then you have the Royals, the 6 seed, traveling to Seattle to take on the 3 seed Mariners. and then the 5 seed Twins against the 4 seed Yankees. 3 games back are the Red Sox. 3 games back are the Rangers. 4 games back are the Tigers. 4.5 back are the Rays. 6 games back are the A's. 6 games back are the Blue Jays. 9 games back are the Astros. 9.5 back are the Angels. 12.5 back are the White Sox. The NL leaders right now. Number 1 seed, the Philadelphia Phillies in the East. They'd get the 1 seed as of now. And the number 2 seed, the West, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Right now, we have number 6, San Diego against number 3, Milwaukee. And number 5, Chicago against number 4, Atlanta. Which would be a great playoff matchup if it did happen. At 1 game back are the Nationals. 1.5 games back are the Mets. 2 games back are the Diamondbacks. 2.5 back are the Giants. We are 3 games back. Reds are 3.5 back. Cardinals 4.5 back. Rockies 8.5 back. Marlins 10.5 back. Those teams, the Rockies, Marlins, Angels, and White Sox, are atrocious this year. They got a lot of work to do. Now on to our last part. It's previewing the week ahead for the Pirates. It's definitely a busy week for sure. It's an unfortunate week as we go to the Midwest to take on the 2 hottest teams in our division right now. Tomorrow, for Wednesday, we play the Milwaukee Brewers. That'll definitely be an interesting series for sure. I don't think we're going to win any games this series for some reason. I'm not excited about this series or this road trip. And I have a feeling we're going to get swept in Milwaukee. That's why this homestand was so big. You know, we've sort of taken 6 games this homestand. We failed to do that. And now here we are. We're in a hole, 5 games under 500, and we're going to Milwaukee. So, not a good situation, but I think we get swept this week. I do. And then at the Cubs, I think we win 1 game. I do. I just think, Skeens on the hill or Keller, somebody like that Keller. Yeah, Keller. Somebody like that will get the job done, I feel like. But I think we only win 1 game this road trip. It's going to be a nightmare of a trip. I've watched the past 3 games. I watched highlights from Tuesday and Wednesday. Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to even watch tomorrow. It's just, I think it's going to be ugly. I do. If we can win 4 games this trip, that would be a miracle. Do you think it's going to happen? I don't. I think we win 1 game at most. We'll be lucky if we win 1 game. How many games do you think we'll win this road trip? Just comment in the section below if you want to. That's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, happy Mother's Day. Have a good one. Take care. Stay safe. And as always, peace. See you next week.